Hi, if you're an adult who's tuned in, logged on to our YouTube channel, then I've got some books for adults, definitely not for children, that I want to show you now. They're recent arrivals. One of them's a paperback, so I'm going to show you these. The first one is Getting Better, and there's a subtitle to it, Life Lessons on Going Under, Getting Over It and Getting Through It. And this is the paperback. It did come out as a hardback. The Guardian, I see, called it a survivor's manual. Very kind of them. And Carrie Ad Lloyd says it's full to the brim with wisdom. Well, it's a book about, indeed, me trying to get over tricky things that have happened in my life. Like, for example, I have an autoimmune disease, hypothyroidism. My own autoimmune system consumed my thyroid gland. It took a long time to be diagnosed, so I had to go through a long experience of going through that. There's also me struggling to get over or get through the death of my son, Eddie, dear Eddie. So there's a whole chapter on that. So it's basically me struggling and trying to find ways to get through difficult things in life. Let's see what other people said about it. In some ways, this is a quirky and intimate memoir, but Rosen has become that curious thing, a national treasure. I didn't say that. And this book perhaps reflects the national mood and the national need even, better than a grander account. That was from the Sunday Times. And the wonderful Rachel Clark, Dr. Rachel Clark, you may have seen her TV series Breathless. It was about the beginning of the COVID pandemic. And she says, if I could prescribe getting better to the entire nation, I would. It's a book that inspires hope, courage and belief in humanity. Basically, it reminds you how to live. So that's very kind of Rachel. So there we are. It's out in paperback, Getting Better. Right, and here's Pebbles. So Pebbles is a book, it's an experimental book that I did, which is what I was doing was tweeting poems. So that means the poems are limited to just about, 120, 160? But anyway, very few characters. And I was experimenting with the idea that you could write, if you like, little quick snapshots of a thought, a memory, something that somebody said, something I'd seen, something I'd heard, and that this would be like a way of expressing, the year. So this is really a kind of poem diary of the year in fragments. So I called it Pebbles because I thought it's a bit like pebbles on a beach, that a beach is made up, when it was some pebbly beaches like you get in England, that if you've got a beach and you look at it, it's the whole beach, but it's made up of little pebbles. And so that was the idea behind this book. So it is a year of pebbles, if you like. There's another name for these little poems. I'll read you just randomly. Let's see what happens if I just open a page. I was asked tonight why I'm being given the PEN Pen Award. I said, I don't know. I wasn't one of the judges. I've always worked to the rule, don't scratch your armpits in public. I don't remember anyone telling me this. I don't think my parents or any teachers said to me, don't scratch your armpits in public. I stick to it though. It means that in private, I give them a right going over. So you can see they're just little fragments of reality. Here we go. They said today, the under fives play centre is falling apart. The floors in the corners are unsafe. No one can afford to repair it. Not the owners, not the council, so it'll be closed. Imagine a time when we wouldn't be able to afford not having an under fives play centre. I met a woman today who said she was one of the physiotherapists in my ward before I went to the rehab hospital. I didn't recognise her because my brain has wiped most of that time. She said that they tried to get me to stand up and they flopped me over a double-decker Zimmer. So you can see this is a mixture of just reflections and memories and just funny thoughts, really, and it's just a stream like that. So there we are, that's Pebbles, Poetry Tweets by Michael Rosen. And now we have Rosens' Almanac, weird and wonderful words for every day of the year. And the idea behind this was really my thoughts about language, with loads and loads of examples of language that have been found. So just take one example. On the programme that I do on BBC Radio 4 called Word of Mouth, we put out an appeal for people to send in family sayings. All right, and we got more than 1,600 replies, and I've put some of these in the book, so let me just read you. People said that people say things when they were kids and they used to ask questions, all right, like say, what's that? Their parents would give them funny answers. So here was Patty Hughes, what's that? And the reply was, it's a whim-wham for a goose's bridle. And then Julie Pollitt said, when I asked my gran what's that, as I often did, her reply would be, it's a whip-whap for a wowser to wind the sun up. It may have been a northern saying, as I grew up in Manchester through the 70s and 80s. Or how about somebody who calls themselves the art criminal? If you asked my dad the time, his reply was, 2:30, met the bobby round the corner with a barrow full. Fortunately, I got my own watch for my 8th birthday. That's what he says. Candy Spillard. My grandmother, a Yorkshire woman, when asked awkward why-type questions and in a hurry would reply, because there's milk in a plum. How about Alive and Masking, who said, if someone was knocking and we asked who it might be, my nan would say, Old Nick, the bottle washer. I think Old Nick's the devil, isn't he? And how about Trish Bater? When I was a child in bed and heard someone on the stairs, I would ask, who's that? And get the reply, Icky with his eye out. So there we are. So it's a collection of lots and lots of these funny family sayings, all sorts, some of mine, me reflecting on the fact that of learning the language my grandparents spoke, which was Yiddish. So lots of thoughts, and also you find out all about each month of the year and each day of the week where these names came from. So the book, there we are, Rosens' Almanac, weird and wonderful words for every day of the year. Here it is. And now a little oddity. I did a book called Many Different Kinds of Love, which was about my experiences in hospital in 2020. And it's been translated into Chinese, into Mandarin. Okay, so Mandarin's one of the main Chinese languages. And there it is. And it says on the back, and I don't know whether you'll be able to see this, but I'm going to ask Matt to zoom in later. Oh, here he comes. Okay, it says here, just above my finger, don't know whether you can see that now, it says nice, and then next to it, 2 Chinese letters, 2 letters in Mandarin, and those 2 letters say yeah, and that means grandpa, because that's what I'm known as in China, nice grandpa, and that nice bit comes from me doing that poem, also on this YouTube channel, that has my family and us all sitting round eating hot potato and going, oh, nice. Well, it's become a meme. Yes, believe it or not, it's become a meme. And that means it's been seen all over the world, including China, where they've decided to call me Nice Grandpa. There we are, or Nice Yeah in Mandarin. So that's very nice. It's got very nice, in fact, on the back of Many Different Kinds of Love in Mandarin, a story of life, death, and the NHS.